Your Excellency, President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone, Madam Director General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. We're all here today because there is an urgent work to do and because there is an extraordinary opportunity before us. We have a unique window to bring meaningful transformation to education systems around the world. It has been my great pleasure and honor to serve as chair of the International Commission on the Futures of Education, which released its report in this room, Reimagining Our Futures Together, a new social contract for education, in November of last year. This was 2 years in the making, and perhaps more important than the 19 meetings that I and the 17 commissioners, and some of them are in the room, had in putting this together, were the inputs of over 1 million people who shared their hopes, fears, ideas on education and the future. Yesterday, our Commission reconvened and has released a statement on transforming together for just and sustainable futures that we offer as a contribution to the September summit being convened by the Secretary General and to the pre-summit that has brought us together today. As you have just heard, we need to invent new ways for education to be inclusive and to serve our shared needs and common futures. As we all recommit to SDG 4, and as we focus on COVID recovery, let us pause and remember that we are doing this because of a fervent belief and confirmed belief that education is the surest path to lasting peace, justice, and sustainability. It helps individuals and communities alike to realize brighter futures. Education can create opportunities and can make an unequal world more equitable. Education opens up to possibility. It brings possibility into the world. It is how we learn that there are alternatives. It is how we expand our aspirations, how we move from what others say is or is not possible to what we ourselves decide is possible. Why is it necessary to transform education now? Well, first, because despite progress over the years, too many children, youth, and adults are still denied the right to quality education. We also know that schools, teachers, and learners have always had to adapt and respond to a changing world. But today, more than ever, education must help transform the world. The challenges that persist and on the horizon are ones that require collective action. They cannot be solved by governments alone. Instead, everyone must be empowered and encouraged to participate in making change. But at present, education around the world is not fit for this purpose. The transformation of education will mean fundamental changes to educational processes and opportunities worldwide. This is less a complete overturning than it is a metamorphosis, an intergenerational project that leads us to something that is both new and renewal. Rather than better versions of existing systems, transformation results in different education systems. Our Commission proposes that a new social contract for education offers both the vision and the process for transforming education. We have called for a new social contract for education to help us arrive at new ways for education to serve our common needs and shared futures. This means a collective reframing of the purposes of education, who, what, and how we teach, and the roles and responsibilities of all involved. Education will have to serve us differently than it has in the past. To do this, we need new ways of working together. We need strengthened public dialogue and more inclusive participation that brings in those who are often excluded. Building a new social contract for education should be a whole of government and a society-wide project that upholds education as a public endeavor and strengthens it as a common good. Dans notre déclaration,
in our statement, we outline 5 avenues of change, meeting and matching the 5 avenues for the Education Summit. The first avenue is dedicated to make sure that education systems are places for equal opportunities and shared plenty. Schools and other places of education mustn't be places to compete on the rare opportunities. We have to make sure that any education can share and spread knowledge and skills rather than keeping them in the hands of a few. Secondly, we require education programs focusing on skills more than on limited categories. Education to environment must be at the heart of education across the world. We must take and assume intercultural education too, so as to take up the challenges of the day. This can be done through educational approaches in the community focusing on problems and issues. This will enable learners of any and every age to understand how they can work on the linkages, the inequalities, asymmetric relationships, and everything that structures today's world. Thirdly, we must give teachers the opportunity to offer a transformative education by educating in the way that solidarity and mutual support can be strengthened. This will help give students and pupils the right resources to be compassionate. To do so, teachers must enjoy decent working conditions. They must enjoy fair and transparent compensation and work in healthy and safe environments. Fourthly, we have to make sure that digital can establish a link between us and with the world, rather than being dedicated and devoted to commercial or self-promoting ventures. We need new educational strategies that will enable digital to strengthen solidarity within our communities. We can do so by establishing open access content, shared platforms, and by involving ourselves in open and participatory governance. Lastly, we must make sure that education is further strengthened as a shared common global good. To do so, we a further cooperation, fair cooperation within countries and amongst countries. To overcome the past and forge ahead, we need collective responsibility in the world of education. Education goes beyond our national borders. Managing education, managing this common good, will require that we go beyond philanthropic approaches, but that we also look at potential reparation for the inequalities that existed in the past. We will also require transfers from the north to the global south and also south-south cooperation. This will enable us to ensure full flourishing of human capacities wherever they may be. This will also mean that we will have genuine access to open global educational resources that can be supported and added to by all. By way of conclusion, let me invite you to contribute to the drafting of a new social contract for education. Despite everything that has already been achieved and that was achieved over the last few decades, we need to think differently. We need to work together. And this is indeed the best hope we have to change the situation and establish sustainable futures and ensure that the transformation of education can indeed transform our world. Thank you.